This is Kendall Brian Hunter, the Midnight Philosopher, and tonight I'm going to be discussing arguments for God's existence, what place they have. Now, question, is having an argument for God's existence, does that undermine the principle of faith? And Thomas Aquinas in his Summa Theologica raises that question, and he makes the point of this: the existence of God and other like truths about God which can be known by natural reason are not articles of faith, but are preambles to the articles. For faith supposes natural knowledge, even as grace presupposes nature, and perfection supposes something that can be perfected. Nevertheless, there is nothing to prevent man who cannot grasp proof accepting, as a matter of faith, something which in itself is capable of being scientifically known and demonstrated. So the point that Aquinas makes is that, yeah, it's not what you exactly need to have faith and to have faith in its completeness, but it does provide a preamble or preparation to exercising faith. This is really important because Joseph Smith had an experience with it. This is from the Joseph Smith Manual, chapter 2, page 38. And Joseph Smith said, this is before the first vision: "For I looked upon the sun, the glorious luminary of the earth, and also the moon rolling in its majesty through the heavens, and also the stars shining in their course. And the earth also upon which I stood, and the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the heaven, and the fish of the waters. And also man walking forth upon the face of the earth in majesty and in the strength of beauty, with power and intelligence in governing these things, which are so exceedingly great and marvelous, even the likeness of him who created them. And when I considered upon these things, my heart exclaimed, Well hath the wise man said, It is a fool that saith in his heart, There is no God. My heart exclaimed, All these bear testimony and bespeak of an omnipotent and omnipresent power, a being who maketh laws and decreeth and bindeth all things in their bounds, who filleth eternity, and who was and is and will be from all eternity to eternity. And when I considered all these things, that being seeketh such to worship him as worship him in spirit and truth, therefore I cried unto the Lord for mercy, for there is none else to whom I could go and obtain mercy." In other words, what we call the teleological or the cosmological argument, it's a little mishmash of both, that there's order out, the argument from order, that you look at the order of the universe and the majesty of creation, and you can reverse engineer or backtrack and or do what's called a modus tollens and figure out that God actually exists, because God has to be behind all this creation. And that works for Joseph Smith. It also appears in the Book of Mormon in the debate between Alma and Korihor, that Alma talks about the planets in the regular motion. So argument like that does have a place, and it can lead onward, but it's not the sum totality. And that's tonight's Power Thought.